Courage, that's my courageous lion. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are afraid to take risks right now. A lot of people are afraid to make a mistake. A lot of people don't know what the future is going to hold. That's including me. I don't know what the future is going to hold. We do not know when we're going back to work. We do not know what our finances might look like. We do not know when we can book our next reservation for travel. I think one of the primary things for us as leaders, as we reinvent ourselves, is to understand that one of our roles is to help our people become more courageous. How do you do that? One of the ways is really to tell stories of your own courage. I know this week for myself, I was really put on the spot. I had to go talk to my number one client and basically ask him to blow up one of the programs that we are offering this year. Hey everybody, it's Mitch Simon. It has been a while since I've been on video on social media. Totally apologize. I have been just busy putting on leadership retreats. Yeah, believe it or not, we just led our first live leadership retreat. Everyone was 8 feet away from each other. It was outdoors. It was great. And we even connected people in a museum park with people on the internet. It was technologically, I don't know how we did it, but we did it. Why am I here? I'm here because it is time for us to reinvent leadership. I don't know why I did that, but it's time to reinvent leadership. And the reason why I'm so passionate about this is I've been looking for solutions and ways to think about how to be a great leader right now in 2020. And there's not much out there. What I'm finding out there is there's a lot of data showing that something's missing, which doesn't help us. It's showing that connection is missing, that culture is missing, that their connection to their bosses is lagging. And so I'm here today to have us find a way to look at it and also pretty much to go through my week. I'll give you an example of what I do in a week. And this was, yes, everything that we're gonna say was done this week. It's gonna show us different ways that we as managers and leaders in this new era, in this new decade, in this new time, are going to really find ways not to maintain the leadership that we had before, but to grow it and expand it and to go deeper. And so let's begin. The first thing that the new re-engineered, reinvented leaders must focus on is bringing clarity, right? So if you think about your workers, your teammates, your employees, your team members, they're at home. Most of them, we're finding on the younger age, like 20s to young 30s, mid 30s, they're at home and they're struggling because they've got kids, they don't have a lot of big spaces, they don't have stand-up desks, they're using milk crates, and they are just really challenged. We need to help them bring clarity. And what does clarity mean? Clarity, it's one of those things where it's the obvious necessary thing. In fact, if we look at a lot of the work that Gallup put out and Marcus Buckingham has put out, number one is get your teammates to focus on their strengths. Number two is clarity on what your expectations are. In this COVID time, I look at clarity as connecting people to be clear with what their heart tells them. I think it gets lost. I think there's a lot of distractions right now. And your goal right now, it's switched, is to bring clarity to what it is that they love about what they're doing. Right? What are their passions? Like, what is it that they really need to focus on right now? And why do they need to focus on it? The work that I was doing, that I am doing with my coach, every Monday morning, we pretty much have a clarity call. And that call it's not so much what I'm going to do, but it's really about the clarity on why it is so important. So the first thing that you can do as a leader is get people clear on what they love, right? I love connecting to young leaders and helping them become great leaders. I love working with teams. I love working with organizations. Sometimes though, I get disconnected from that passion, which has me get distracted, but the more I get clear on the things that I love, the bigger the amount of work I can actually create and the more people I can actually impact. So clarity, get people clear on what they love. Number 2, cause. Get people clear on what their cause is. We just completed an exercise this week. We were looking at necessity in the High Performance Habits book. And we were looking at pretty much answering the question, why do you do what you do? Right? What is it that you do? What is it that you impact with the people that you're trying to impact? Most leaders don't ask these questions, but it'd be amazing, and it's been amazing just having these workshops with people in a company to figure out why is it they do what they do? How do they impact the people that they impact? Why does that make them feel so grateful and empowered when they can actually give the thing that they actually love the most and see that impact? So from clarity, we go to what is the cause? What is the cause that you are all about? So clarify the cause, and next we go to challenge, right? The most important challenge you can come up with is not what are the goals of the week, but who are you, right? Who are you? What do you declare you are up to, let's say this week or this month or this year? What do you declare is it that you're up to, and what beliefs do you have to support that declaration? Like, I can declare right now that I do videotapes, but for me to declare that I am actually selling and providing products to support teams throughout the whole world, that's a declaration that I'm working on stepping into. I need to have a belief system behind that that's going to support me to say, yeah, people from all over the world want to hear what little Mitch has to say or big Mitch has to say, right? That goes to my belief system. So help your teammates answer who they are. That will build great bonds, great connections. The next area in reinventing leadership is culture. Because the challenge is obvious. We are all at home right now, right? That's where we are. That's a picture of a house. That's kind of how I drew when I was 5 years old, and that's how I still draw a house. We are in our homes. So we are now at home working, and the challenge is, how do you as a manager, as a leader, promote your culture while everyone is back at their houses? And the key is you want people to understand how the culture lives, breathes, and thinks by demonstrating the culture. And how do you demonstrate the culture while people are at home? Well, one, of course, is we've got video now, we've got Zoom, is actually bring people together and watch how people from different teams are actually interacting. What we did this last week was we actually shared in front of the whole company what it was like for 2 execs to have a very difficult conversation. And the way we did that is we used the format of the dating game. That's why I'm dressed in these 60s clothes. The dating game was in the 60s, the 70s, and I think afterwards. And what we did is we had one member of one team talk to the other member of the other team and ask them questions. First, the question was pretty silly, like where would we go out if we were gonna go out on a date? Or where would we go if I were gonna take you to dinner, or what would you eat? And then we got deeper. We started asking questions like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good is our relationship right now? And why? And then they answered the questions. What do you need from me? And what do I not do so well? Where do you feel I do understand your situation? Where do you feel I do not understand your situation? What happened was these 2 individuals got really real, and they shared what it looked like to be vulnerable, which was a sharing of the culture. Now, your challenge right now as a leader is not only to demonstrate it, it is to encourage the sharing of that culture, whether you are going to suggest that some of your team members have those types of conversations, or maybe some of your team members get together and just kind of share, maybe not things that are very, very deep, but kind of higher up there, to start sharing of themselves, pretty much to say that, you know what, the way as a manager I'm going to keep this culture going is to demonstrate how we are living this culture in other parts of the company, and then encourage our teammates, our direct reports, to go out and live this culture with our direction and advice and suggestions. Next is commitment. right? What we're talking about with commitment is we know about the goals that each person has, and of course they must be accountable and to commit to those goals. But what's even more important is to help your teammates figure out what behavior must they take on in order to achieve their goals. We just led a workshop using the book Influencer and found it really challenging. In fact, I think it was maybe 2 or 3 sessions where it took us to really dig down and figure out what are the behaviors that will make you successful and what are the behaviors that your teammate is looking for to be acted out from the people below him or her, right? To help your teammate get very specific on what it will take to achieve his or her goals. That is showing commitment to your employee and showing connection, and that is how we're reinventing leadership right now. And the next one is courage. We kind of re-edited this because I wanted to get this story in. Courage. Courage, that's my courageous lion. A lot of people are scared. A lot of people are afraid to take risks right now. A lot of people are afraid to make a mistake. A lot of people don't know what the future is going to hold. That's including me. I don't know what the future is going to hold. We do not know when we're going back to work. We do not know what our finances might look like. We do not know when we can book our next reservation for travel. I think one of the primary things for us as leaders as we reinvent ourselves is to understand that one of our roles is to help our people become more courageous. How do you do that? One of the ways is really to tell stories of your own courage. I know this week for myself, I was really put on the spot. I had to go talk to my number 1 client and basically ask him to blow up one of the programs that we are offering this year and reinvent ourselves to be something different. The world has changed. Everything as we expected it is not occurring. And so one of the ways that you can help your teammates develop their own courage is to share those things that you're going through. Cushman & Wakefield's survey just came out and really showed that even though productivity is up by people being at home, what's down is that connection to each other, those bonds, the connection to the culture. I really do believe that you demonstrating a connection to yourself and your own vulnerability and your own transparency and you taking courageous moves, that is what's going to keep people connected to you. And so that's courage. And, in the next few weeks, I'm going to take some courageous moves myself by launching a podcast, by revamping a program, by getting on video more, by coming up with a campaign to really sell some courses. And I really do think that you need to be more courageous in this time. You need to share your courage. I'd love to hear from you what you're doing really courageously. It is that courage and that demonstration and sharing of that courage that will connect you to your employees. Our next one is to help celebrate. And celebrate for no reason but that person is alive and is on your team. What we've been doing, and we are doing it actually in a couple hours, celebrate, is, bad picture of a cake, is to do podcasts. We're doing internal podcasts. So we're celebrating one person a week from the company by just getting on a podcast recording system and saying, hey, what do you like about your current job? Tell us about your family. Tell us about your kids. Where do you like to travel? These things really show a deep celebration of human beings, and as well as it helps connect each person to each other. Again, as a manager, you're thinking, this is not my job. My job isn't to do podcasts, and my job isn't to play the dating game. Oh yeah, baby. Your job is right now. Your job is to learn how to entertain with depth. It's entertain with depth. Because if you are not holding your employees' attention, they're going to go elsewhere. What's our next one? Is community. Community, right? Community is, it's more about just building community. A lot of it is about learning. So what's happened is that many of your employees used to sit around your office and used to listen and learn and find out what was going on and how to do new things. We don't have that anymore. So what we need to reinvest in is community learning. And that is really a lot of the work that we've done this week. We have the using influencer as a model to learn together on how to find the right behaviors to get the right objectives. Through Brendan Burchard's book, we're learning how to figure out our why and figure out our necessity and figure out the things that we geek out on and our obsessions to get clear on those things. So as you can see, as a manager, your role really is to just get clear and connected and consistent with your employees. And the final one is, the last C is comedy. Like I said before, you need to hold your team members' attention, and it's hard over Zoom and it's hard over phones. It is so important that you keep it a little bit light because this is kind of a heavy time. But you find ways to keep it light, throw in some comedy, be improvisational, let funny things happen or big mistakes happen because they're going to happen because there's going to be issues. But I just kind of stress that it's a time for you to be light and willing to make mistakes, to show people that it's okay to take some risks, be courageous, and show a deep sense of who you are. In conclusion, it's really about, in this time to reinvent leadership, it is a time for you to be much more authentic and connect people not only to you, but help connect people to themselves. And through the clarity of what is it that you really love, what is it you're passionate about, through the connecting people to cause, why they're here, connecting people to challenge them, to make bigger declarations and to change their beliefs in these times, to really bring in the culture, to really focus on people making commitments and looking at the behaviors they need to take on to achieve those commitments, help people build their courage, help people celebrate people, and then finally to build this community of learning and do it in a way that is fun. That's going to be the new role of leader, and we're going to be diving into these as we move on. Hopefully you've enjoyed this perspective. I have, and we'll see you next time.